Have you ever wondered what you're made of? If you look incredibly close, you'd find you are built from trillions of tiny, living units called cells. Think of them like microscopic bricks. Just as bricks build a house, cells build every part of you, from your heart to your skin. They are the fundamental building blocks for every plant and animal on Earth, each one a tiny world of its own. Let's imagine a cell is like a bustling city. Inside, there are different structures called organelles, which are like the buildings and factories. Each one has a critical job to do. For example, the mitochondria are the power plants, generating energy to fuel the cell's activities. The cell membrane acts like the city's border, controlling what comes in and out. And at the very center is the most important building of all, the nucleus. The nucleus is the city hall, or control center, of our cell city. It holds the master plan for everything the cell does, from growing to making proteins to dividing. This master plan is a remarkable molecule called DNA. DNA contains all the instructions that make you unique, like a detailed blueprint that tells each cell its specific job, whether it's to be a muscle cell, a nerve cell, or a skin cell. DNA is an incredibly long molecule, often described as a twisted ladder or a double helix. To fit inside the tiny nucleus, it's tightly coiled and packaged into structures called chromosomes. Think of the entire DNA strand as a giant cookbook. Each specific recipe in that book is a gene. These genes provide the instructions for building proteins, which are the machines and materials that do most of the work in our cells. Our bodies don't start with trillions of cells. We start as just one, which divides to make two, then four, and so on. This process, called cell division, is how we grow. It's also essential for repairing our bodies, like when you get a cut and your body makes new skin cells. Before a cell divides, it must make a perfect copy of its DNA blueprint to pass on to the new cell, ensuring it has the correct instructions. Cell division isn't a random event, it's part of a highly regulated process called the cell cycle. Think of it like a carefully managed factory assembly line with quality control stations. These stations are called checkpoints. At each checkpoint, the cell pauses to make sure everything is okay, that the DNA has been copied correctly and that conditions are right for division. If a problem is found, the cycle stops until it's fixed. So, what happens when this orderly process breaks down? This is where we begin to understand cancer. At its most basic level, cancer is a disease where some of the body's cells begin to divide without stopping. They ignore the signals from the checkpoints and continue to multiply, like a car with a stuck accelerator pedal. This uncontrolled growth is caused by changes, or mutations, in the cell's DNA instructions. Imagine the cell's DNA as a detailed instruction manual. A DNA mutation is like a typo in that manual. Most typos are harmless, but if one occurs in a critical sentence, specifically, in a gene that controls cell growth, it can have serious consequences. A mutation might change the instruction, stop dividing, to never stop dividing. When enough of these critical mutations accumulate, a normal cell can transform into a cancer cell. As a single cancer cell continues to divide without any controls, it creates millions of copies of itself. This growing mass of abnormal cells forms a lump, which is known as a tumor. It's important to know that some tumors are benign, meaning they don't spread. But cancerous, or malignant, tumors are different. They have the ability to grow into and invade the healthy tissues surrounding them, disrupting their normal function. What makes cancer particularly dangerous is its ability to spread, a process called metastasis. Cancer cells can break off from the original tumor and enter the body's highways, like the bloodstream or the lymphatic system. They can then travel to distant places in the body and start new tumors there. This is why cancer that starts in one organ, like the lungs, can be found later in another, like the brain. So what causes these DNA mutations in the first place? Sometimes they are simply mistakes that happen when a cell copies its DNA during division. In some cases, a faulty gene can be inherited. However, many mutations are caused by exposure to harmful things in our environment. For example, ultraviolet radiation from the sun can damage the DNA in our skin cells, and chemicals in tobacco smoke can damage the DNA in our lung cells. Fortunately, your body is not defenseless. It has amazing systems in place to prevent cancer. There are special proteins whose job is to proofread the DNA and fix any typos they find. Furthermore, your immune system is constantly patrolling your body, and it can often recognize and eliminate abnormal or cancerous cells. Cancer develops when these defenses fail or when the cancer cells grow too quickly for the immune system to keep up. When cancer does develop, there are many ways to fight it. The main goal of treatment is to destroy the cancer cells while sparing as many healthy cells as possible. Surgery can be used to remove a tumor in one piece. Other treatments, like chemotherapy and radiation, are designed to target and kill cells that are dividing rapidly, a key characteristic of cancer cells. Newer therapies even help boost the patient's own immune system to fight the cancer. Let's quickly review what we've learned. Our bodies are made of trillions of cells, each with a nucleus containing DNA, our instruction manual. These cells normally grow and divide in a controlled way. Cancer begins when mutations, or errors, in the DNA cause a cell to ignore the rules. It then divides uncontrollably, forming a tumor that can invade other tissues and spread throughout the body. Understanding the basics of cells and cancer is incredibly important. It helps us appreciate how complex our bodies are and why scientific research is so vital. The more we learn about what goes wrong in cancer cells, the better we can become at designing new and more effective treatments. While it's a complex disease, knowledge and ongoing research provide the greatest hope for managing and one day conquering cancer.